See that? See what I'm doing here? Yeah. Anyway, that was lame. But anyway, the Miami Hurricanes are taking on the NC State Wolfpack, 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff this Friday. Now the Canes are the 10-point favorite on the road, laying double digits. Totals 59 points. We've won 2 out of our last 3 extra daily picks on patreon.com/Brock Page. And access to the extra daily pick costs just $2.99. We're also 2-1 in our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We have over 625 members signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And that's patreon.com/Brock Page. When it comes to this Miami NC State contest, see what I'm doing again here? The U. But anyway, when it comes back to this contest here, the Wolfpack of NC State, they're plus 280 on the money line. Now, NC State's a perfect 2-0 straight up at home this season, 2-0 against the number in those contests. They've also been victorious in 3 out of their last 4 ball games, including a 17-point victory over the Virginia Cavaliers. NC State's averaging 32 points a game. They're also throwing for over 260 yards a game, and they've scored 13 touchdowns through the air. Wideout Emeka Emzi has caught 23 balls for 370 and 3 scores. The Wolfpack's also rushing for over 130 yards a game on the ground, 10 touchdowns and a couple of rushers well over 300 yards. And as a matter of fact, running back Zonovan Knight has rushed for 406 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns. Zon's actually averaging 5.9 yards per carry. And before NC State's most recent blowout loss to UNC, they had given up just 20 points a game on average in their prior 2 contests. Linebacker Peyton Wilson leads this defense in tackles with 53 of them. He's also got 1.5 sacks and 2 interceptions. Defensive lineman Daniel Joseph also has 4 sacks on the year, a dozen tackles for Joseph. The Wolfpack defense is averaging over 3 sacks a game, and they have 6 interceptions on the year. They are taking on a Miami squad who's failed to cover the number in 2 out of their last 3. Now, don't get me wrong, this Miami defense has been good in several spots this year, but Miami, they've scored just 18 points a game on average in those 2 failures to cover that I just mentioned, and those contests were against Virginia and Clemson. Now, quarterback De'Aaron King's been sacked 16 times through 6 games, nearly 3 sacks a game this O-line's given up. And when it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of Miami's last 3 ball games stayed under the posted total. Meanwhile, one out of NC State's 2 home games on the season stayed under the line as well. So with all that said and done, you might win this one outright, but I do like NC State keeping this one close. I'm going to lean toward the underdogs in this one. Give me the NC State Wolfpack plus 10, keeping this one close, and the under 59 in that contest. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines of personal leans out for college football week 10, and of course this is the ACC edition, so we're looking around, around week 6 or 7 in the ACC. But in the grand scheme of things, it is college football week 10. Now, before we go ahead and dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, just got to quickly remind you once again that we are currently 2-1 in our last 3 extra daily picks on patreon.com/Brock Page, and access to that content costs just $2.99. We also won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We currently have over 625 members signed up and active on that site, and if you want to join them and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. And moving on, we're going to take a look at a game that I don't believe is on our board here. It's not, but anyway, we are going to take a look at I don't see it. Liberty squaring off against Virginia Tech. And that's going to be a 12 p.m. Eastern start time this Saturday. Now, the Hokies are the 15-point favorite at home, total 67.5. The Hokies have failed to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 5 contests. Failures to cover against the likes of Wake Forest, UNC, and Duke. They actually lost straight up to Wake Forest in that one. Just 16 total points they scored in that loss. Now, the Hokies have also lost 2 out of their last 4, giving up 56 total points to UNC during that span. This Hokie defense is allowing 32 points a game in their last 5. Meanwhile, offensively, Virginia Tech is completing just 56% of their passes. They're throwing for just 182 yards a game, and they've only thrown 7 touchdowns through the air. They're taking on an undefeated Liberty team who comes into this game a perfect 6-0 on the season. Now, the Flames successfully covered the number in their last 3 straight, and they scored 38 points or more in all 3 of those contests. So I know that the level of play hasn't been there, but Liberty's been getting the job done, taking care of business, and really handling those teams that they should destroy. And as a matter of fact, Liberty's scoring 38 points a game, and they rush for over 255 yards a game on the ground. Quarterback Malik Willis is just 5 yards shy of 500 rushing yards on the season. 7 yards a carry he's averaging. Willis also scored 6 times on the ground and has thrown 9 touchdown passes. Running backs Mack, Lewis, and Pickett all have over 300 yards rushing apiece as well. The Flames have also given up just 11 points a game in their last 3, throwing out their most recent contest with Southern Miss. Linebacker Anthony Butler has 41 tackles on the season and a sack. He's also got a pair of interceptions and 3 PBUs. Defensive end Darrell Johnson, has 6 sacks on the year himself, 24 total tackles, and a forced fumble. Now, total-wise, Liberty's last 2 games got over the posted number, 2-0 to the over on the road as well. Meanwhile, the Hokies saw 4 out of their 6 contests on the season get over the number themselves. Give me the underdog Liberty Flames plus 15 and the over 67.5 in that contest. All right, next game I got for you. It's right there. We had that queued up, ready to go. I'm talking about UNC Duke, 12 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the Tar Heels are minus 11 on the road, total 64 flat. The Tar Heels have failed to cover the number in their last 3 straight road games, just 1 and 2 straight up in those contests. Tar Heels have also failed to cover the number in 2 out of their last 3, including outright losses to Virginia and Florida State. A really lackluster Florida State team, not incredibly impressive football teams there. Even Virginia, not all that great. This UNC offensive line has given up 19 total sacks on the season, and as good as their defense has been, the D is averaging just 1.1 takeaways per contest, so that certainly is not going to get the job done against these top-tier teams when they play them. But anyway, the Tar Heels have failed to cover the point spread in 5 out of their last 6 on the road as well. And of course, that dates back to last season. They're taking on a Duke team who's coming fresh off a 53-19 victory over Charlotte. They held the 49ers to just 7 first-half points en route to that 34-point blowout. Now, the Blue Devils have also been victorious in 2 out of their last 3, and that's going to include a 38-24 win over Syracuse. Not a shocker there, but certainly taking care of business when they should. Now, the Blue Devils have successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 4, and they're averaging 36 points a game in their last 4 as well. Duke rushes for nearly 170 yards a game, and most of that is thanks to running back Deion Jackson, who's touched it 119 times for 547 and 4 scores. Jackson is averaging 4.6 yards a carry. And the other running back, Mateo Durant, also has 460 rushing yards on the season and 5 scores. Durant is actually averaging nearly 7 yards a carry himself. Now, the Blue Devil defense has gotten the quarterback 26 times through 7 games and forced 13 turnovers. Cornerback Jeremiah Lewis has a pair of interceptions out of the secondary, 25 tackles and 5 PBUs. DN's Victor Dimuke and Chris Rumpf, they each have 7.5 sacks apiece. This Duke pass rush has been relentless at times, very good up front. And linebacker Shaka Hayward, he also has 57 total tackles on the year and 2 sacks. Pretty physical Duke team, believe it or not. And when it comes to the total in this one, the North Carolina Tar Heels saw 2 out of their 3 road games this season stay under the posted number. So, guys, I'm going to lean toward another dog in this one. Give me the underdog Duke Blue Devils plus 11, keeping this one close, and the under 64 in that contest. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Boston College Syracuse. Not sure if that's on the... Yeah, it is. We got it. 2 p.m. Eastern start time at the Carrier Dome in upstate New York. The Eagles of BC are the 14-point favorite. Total's 52.5. Boston College has successfully covered the number in their last 2 straight. 4-1 against the number in their last 5. Successful covers against the likes of Clemson, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and UNC. Some pretty impressive covers within that bunch. The Eagles have also covered the number in 2 out of their 3 road games and scored 121 points in their last 4 straight. Phil Jurkovec is throwing for nearly 270 yards a game, along with heaving 14 touchdown passes through 7 games. His favorite target's been wide receiver Zay Flowers, who has 32 grabs for 536 yards and 5 scores. Flowers is averaging 17 yards a catch. Meanwhile, defensively, BC's got a dozen takeaways and 18 total sacks. Defensive back Jamin Muse has a pair of interceptions from the secondary, 20 tackles. Max Roberts has 4.5 sacks on the year, 16 total tackles, and a forced fumble. And linebacker Isaiah McDuffie has 60 tackles and 3 sacks with a pick. The Eagles have covered the number in 6 out of their last 7 conference ball games. They've been very good against the number within the ACC. They're taking on a pretty bad Syracuse team who's on a 4-game losing streak themselves. Their most recent loss was a 24-point beatdown to Wake Forest. Syracuse has also failed to cover the number in 3 out of those 4 losses. They're officially just 1-3 straight up at the Carrier Dome this year, 1-6 straight up overall for this season. They also failed to cover the number in 3 out of their 4 home games. Now, Syracuse, this is something that really surprised me. Maybe fact check it, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. Syracuse is completing collectively a pitiful 49% of their passes this season. 28 sacks they've given up and 9 interceptions they've thrown. 49% of their passes. That's terrible. The Orange also averages less than 180 yards a game passing. Meanwhile, the rushing side of things, Syracuse only gains 90 yards a game on the ground as well. They've scored just 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground in 7 contests. Meanwhile, the Orange defense, not much better. They're giving up nearly 41 points a game in their last 4 straight. They're averaging less than 2 sacks a game up front. Now, Syracuse has lost 5 out of their last 6 conference matchups. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, 4 out of Syracuse's last 5 ball games got over the posted number. 3 out of their last 4 contests at the Carrier Dome also got over the line. Meanwhile, Boston College's last 2 straight got over the number themselves. They're officially 3-1 to the over in their last 4 as well. So a good amount of overs between these 2 teams. Give me the Boston College Eagles minus 14 and the over 52.5 in that contest. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Florida State hosting Pitt. And I think that should be on the board. No, it's not. But anyway, Pitt at Florida State, 4 p.m. Eastern start time at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. The Noles are the 2-point favorite. Total's 50 and a hook. Now, the Noles have successfully covered the point spread in 2 out of their last 3. Covers against UNC and Notre Dame. That scared me. Every once in a while, I mute the TV and then out of nowhere it just starts playing music. But anyway, where were we at here, guys? We're going to have the background kind of switching up and down. What I do is I pause the music choice just so I can get like a neutral background. And then I guess after like 20 or 30 minutes, then it goes unpaused. But the music plays and it scares the what out of me. But anyway, we are talking about Pitt, Florida State. Yeah, okay. The Noles have successfully covered the point spread in 2 out of their last 3. And once again, those were covers against UNC and Notre Dame. And actually, it was an outright victory over North Carolina. Bit of a shocker there. The Noles have won 2 out of 3 on their home field this year, and they averaged 33 points a game in their last 3 contests. Let's just go ahead and shut that off. Anyway, they averaged 33 points a game in their last 3 contests, throwing out that Louisville game. Now, Florida State's rushing for nearly 200 yards a game on the ground, 197 to be exact. Running back LaDamian Webb has carried it only 57 times through 6 games, but he's gained 336 yards and scored 3 times. He's averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. The Noles have actually won 7 out of their last 8 home games. And of course, that dates back to last season. They're very good at Doak Campbell. Now, Pitt on the other side has been playing some pretty bad football as of late. 0-4 straight up in their last 4 contests. 0-6 against the spread in their last 6. These guys can't buy a cover. Their most recent loss was a 45-3 shellacking at the hands of the Fighting Irish. Now, this Pitt Panther D has allowed 34 points a game over their last 4 contests as well. Meanwhile, offensively, they've scored just 22 total combined points in their last 2 ball games. They've somewhat struggled to establish a respectable run game. The Panthers are rushing for less than 100 yards a game, and 2 of their leading rushers on the team are averaging 2.9 yards a carry or less. And I know that's a very bizarre stat there, but the guy who I'm talking about, running back Vincent Davis, 2.9 yards a carry. He's also gaining just 37 yards per contest. So really minimal production there. Pitt's failed to cover the point spread in their last 8 straight conference ball games. Now, total-wise, Pitt's last 4 straight did get over the posted number. They're 2-0 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, the Seminoles on the other side saw 4 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves. So with all that said and done, give me the Florida State Seminoles -2 and the over 50 and a hook in that ball game. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Clemson Notre Dame, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the Tigers of Clemson are the 5.5 point favorite on the road. Total's 52 flat. The Tigers are 7-0 straight up on the season. They're coming fresh off a 34-28 come-from-behind victory against a tough Boston College team. Now, you might think that was closer than it should be, but that was a resilient victory for the Tigers. And keep in mind, they played last week without Trevor Lawrence due to COVID. They're going to once again going to have to go to work without Lawrence this week. He's going to be out again with COVID protocol or whatever you want to call it, contact tracing. But anyway, having said that, backup DJ Uwulele is completing 70% of his passes for 444 yards. He's actually gone 42 of 60 to be exact. Now, Uwulele's also rushed it 14 times for 57 yards and 3 scores on the ground. He's averaging 4.1 yards a carry. This Clemson defense is going to be asked for a big effort again this week, and I think they're going to deliver. They're allowing just 15 points a game through 7 ball games, and the Tigers have successfully covered the point spread in 2 out of their last 4. Now, Clemson averages 4 sacks a game, and they have 28 total sacks on the season. They've also forced 13 turnovers, thanks in part to 9 big interceptions. Safety Nolan Turner has 3 interceptions on the season, 21 total tackles. Defensive end Miles Murphy also has 3.5 sacks on the year, 2 forced fumbles. And linebacker Balin Spector is leading the team with 39 total tackles, along with 2.5 sacks and a forced fumble. Clemson's won their last 13 straight road games. They're taking on a Notre Dame squad who averages just 206 yards a game through the air, and they've thrown only 7 touchdown passes through 6 games themselves. Their top receiver, Javon McKinley, is gaining just 44 yards a game receiving, and he's scored 0 touchdowns thus far in the season. So through the air, these guys really haven't been a legitimate threat. Now, the Irish have failed to cover the number in 3 out of their last 4. They're also just 1-3 against the spread on their home turf. Notre Dame has also failed to cover the point spread in 4 out of their last 5 conference ball games. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Notre Dame's last 5 contests got over the posted number. Meanwhile, Clemson on the other side saw their last 3 straight get over the line themselves. So with all that said and done, I know they got the backup quarterback. I get that, but this guy's talented and he probably could start on any other team. Give me the Clemson Tigers -5.5 and the over 52 in that game. And with that, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Louisville, Virginia, 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff. The Virginia Cavaliers are the 2.5 point favorite at home, total 67. Now, the Cavaliers put up 44 in a very good North Carolina program this past week. They took care of the Tar Heels by the final of 44-41. That was a bit of a shocker, big upset there. They actually scored 41 total points through just 3 quarters of play in that contest. Now, the Cavaliers have successfully covered the point spread in their last 2 straight. They're also 4-2 against the spread in their last 6. Virginia's won 2 out of their 3 home games, and they went 2-1 against the spread in those contests. The Cavaliers are rushing for 172 yards a game They've also scored 8 touchdowns on the ground. Running back Wayne Tulapapa has rushed for 330 yards and 4 scores. This Cavalier defense is also averaging nearly 4 sacks a game. They've got 20 total sacks cumulative on the season, and they've taken the ball away 10 times. Safety Brenton Nelson has a pair of interceptions from this Virginia secondary. Pretty nice first half of the season for him. He's also got a dozen tackles on the year. Linebacker Charles Snowden also has 5 sacks on the season, 3 PBUs, and 40 total tackles. Very good year out of Snowden. And, of course, linebacker Nick Jackson. He leads the team in total tackles with 64 of them. Now they're taking on a Louisville